Hi everybody, welcome back to the Skookum Report. There's a couple things I want to talk about today. If y'all are familiar with the Skookum Report in the comments section, y'all might know Big Mike. He asked me today, he said, did James Bobo Fay from Finding Bigfoot pass away? And I said, I have no clue. I hadn't heard. And so I went online and I found some stuff, but nothing actually, affirmative. Some of these things might be rumors. It might be true. It might not be. I'm going to let you guys dig into it for yourself, but I'll show you what I got, what I found online. I'll post in the video section. And if he did pass away, he was one of the good guys. I know a lot of people have different opinions on the BFRO, but James, Bobo Fay, and I believe Cliff, they're good guys. And also I checked out Bobo's and Bobo and Cliff's podcast. It's called Bigfoot and Beyond. And the most recent one, it doesn't have an exact date or day. It just says September 2021. And Bobo and Cliff are both on there. So, not sure exactly what's going on there. But this next story, though, I got for y'all is from the files of Bobbie Short. And it's a pretty cool story. This park ranger kind of slipped up and said something that I think he regretted saying. I'm not sure. Maybe he doesn't care about his job, or he's at that point, or he was having a bad day. Who knows? But the story's pretty interesting, and then it gets to the part where they call the park ranger. And again, this is from Bobbie Short, and I want to thank her friends and family, as always, for allowing me to share from her archives and get her stories out there and everything she worked so hard on. She was a good lady, Bobbie Short. And this is from Greenberry, Benton County, Oregon, March 2002. And it reads, I believe it would have been Benton County, although we may have just crossed into Lincoln County. And it was March 2002, and it was around noontime. It was the middle of March, and Joe and A, names have been changed by request, and myself, so there were three of them, it looks like, they were in Oregon Coast Range, just above a little town called Greenberry, about 30 miles west of Corvallis. They were driving up a logging road on the southeast side of Buck Mountain, just south of Mary's Peak, which is the highest point in the Oregon Coast Range. We rounded a 90-degree turn to the right where several trees were down across the road, blocking any driving further up the road. The fallen trees had been cut, and we figured the area was zoned to be logged or something. It was strange that cut trees would be left laying across an access road. We were just driving around the countryside and chatting and not having much else to do. We decided to get out and have a little walk in. It was misting outside that day, and we climbed over the trees and were basically just walking and talking and drinking our first beers of the day when we came around another 90-degree turn, this time to our left. It was here that A first saw what he thought was a track. Not even thinking anything remotely like Bigfoot, we examined it, and it sure looked like a footprint to us. I then looked down, and beside my foot, and I had nearly stepped on it, was a very clear footprint that clearly showed 5 toes. The imprint was of a bare foot, no shoes. We couldn't believe our eyes. We began tracing the footprints up the mountain. The tracks were clear as day. One step, then another, and so on. The biggest track was about 15 inches by 6 inches wide. And the distance between each track moving up the hillside was a greater distance than I could stretch my legs coming down. I do not know the exact stride measurement. It was beginning to rain now. Of all the imprints, probably only 2 or 3 were what I would call clear footprints. The majority were simply huge ruts that had been left by something big stomping up that grade. The tracks were obvious and, as Joe mentioned, showed that something was scrambling to get out of there. At this point, Joe left to go get a camera that was in the truck, and A and myself stayed and continued to look for more tracks. A retraced the steps to try to get an idea of where it had come from. I moved to the right of the tracks, looking for just whatever, when I came across a paralleling trail of tracks. These were not nearly as large as the first set of tracks and seemed to be moving in the same direction as the larger set of tracks. Then suddenly, this second set of tracks took a hard right and angled up to the road toward the general area where we started our walk at the cut trees across the road that blocked the car access. I followed the tracks to the road, and then I lost them where they went up the mountain on the opposite side. And then this is called We Heard Birds Calling in the Rain. Around this time, Joe arrived back with the camera, and I can still remember the first thing he said was, "Did you guys hear anything?" And we hadn't heard anything, but I heard 2 loud bird calls that I distinctly remember thinking had a funny ring to them. Nothing bizarre or totally strange. I just didn't know what kind of bird it was. And Joe was silent for a moment, and then he said, "I heard bird calls back at the truck, but birds don't call in the rain." And he was right. Anytime you're outside when a rain is coming down, listen, there won't be any birds calling. Next, he took a look at the tracks I showed him that I found, and they were now pooling up with standing puddles of water. The rain was really coming down at this point. Whatever had made these footprints had crossed the road seconds before we rounded the corner. They heard us coming. Whatever it was, down in that ravine, could hear us talking and probably making plenty of noise on the gravel. The track makers had taken to higher ground in a hurry. And we were wondering, were they still there? We didn't know. But they could have been, but we didn't see them. The area above the road we walked up on was much higher and heavily timbered. There were no odd smells, and we never felt like we were being watched. But the odd bird-like calls did have us talking later. Birds do not sing in the rain. And that was it. We never saw what made the tracks. They were not bear tracks, definitely not. As you know, their back foot can step into the front foot track and almost make it look like a barefoot track. Not the animal bear, but, bare feet. They were not bear tracks, nor were they made by a big bull elk. The tracks were human-like with 5 toes showing, not cloven hooves. And the only other thing, other than a Sasquatch, that could have made the tracks would have been a very enormous man without any shoes on. But no one was up there, certainly no vehicles, as the down trees that had fallen across the main road prevented anyone with wheels access to this particular area. The terrain was extraordinarily steep and thickly wooded. This part is called The Ranger Slips Up. Interestingly enough, the very next day, Joe called a ranger or a forestry station nearby. He told them that he had found big barefoot tracks. The ranger quickly replied, "Well, hell yes, there are bear up there." Joe interrupted and said, "No, I mean big bear human foot tracks. Human footprints, big ones." What the ranger said next shocked Joe silent for a moment. The ranger said, "Oh, you mean Sasquatch tracks. We had those last year over in Colton, and we didn't know what to make of them." Joe told me that the man suddenly clammed up, as if he suddenly realized what he had said. Since starting on this subject, I've often wondered if there hasn't been a conspiracy of silence from the U.S. Forestry Service and big lumber companies to keep the whole Bigfoot phenomena hushed. I believe there is a concerted effort to keep the Sasquatch a low profile now. I think there are people who know these things are there And I've spoken with Peter Byrne about this. He shares the same opinion. Anyway, I thought that was most interesting. Names and a little bit of other information was withheld upon request, but it was definitely logged into the 2002 archives. But that's the whole story right there. Oh man, that ranger, he kind of screwed up a little bit. And basically they know they're there. We know they're there. It's not a secret. There's just way too much evidence. It's an embarrassing amount of evidence. A lot of the people that tell me, Bigfoot ain't real. Is there only one, or is there two or more? And they just have no idea about the subject. Complete ignorance, in every sense of the word ignorance, to the subject matter. It's just people that don't look into it, that don't believe in it, because they have no clue as to what, if there is any evidence. They've never seen a Bigfoot. They wouldn't know where to start. All they've heard and seen is funny commercials on TV and people making jokes about it. And that's what pisses me off, when people say, there ain't no Bigfoot, man. Come on, dude, you're crazy. I'm like, have you looked into it? Have you read about it? Have you watched any documentaries? Have you studied the subject matter? And the answer is always no. I don't know anything about there is no Bigfoot. And just complete ignorance. Just, I want to say just dumbasses. It just pisses me off so bad. People that talk about a subject that have no idea about any of the subject matter just need to shut the hell up. That's what I think. So take that for what it's worth. If it don't apply, let it fly. But if you or anybody you know has had a Bigfoot encounter, or seen a Sasquatch, or seen some prints, or heard some howling in the woods that you thought was a little off, some bird calls that you knew weren't birds, because they mimic a lot. Bigfoots do mimic a lot. And if you or anybody has had anything like that happen and you want to have it on the show here, just write it down in an email and shoot it off to me at skookumreport@gmail.com. That's skookumreport@gmail.com. And I'll be sure to get it up on the show for you. Definitely isn't a problem. There's no judgment or criticism here. Like I said before, if there ever is, I erase the comments and I block them. And you don't have to worry about it. This is a safe place to share, and you can talk to other people in the comment section. And just get shit off your chest, man. Why hold something in that changed your life? If you saw one of these things, come and talk to people that have had the same experience, and you're not crazy. You're definitely not crazy. There's things in this world that we just don't know about, and that's just the way it is. And we're going to keep on finding and discovering new things every day. So listen, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and leave a comment and say hi. I enjoy talking to you guys, meet new people, and talk to each other and lean on each other and share your experiences with each other, and just have a place to go to get stuff off your chest, man. That's a good thing. And anyway, that's today's Skookum Report, and I hope y'all enjoyed it. And so let's see, I'll probably start working on another one tomorrow. And I really enjoy doing this. You guys are awesome. I always want to make sure I say that. I appreciate you guys very much. And so I'm Bob for the Skookum Report, and I am out.